I'm going to start our equipment walkthrough. We're going to introduce to you some, I'll discuss some large equipment, and then I'm going to bring you in to share some of these medium-sized equipment that we use, and then some small wares. So first and foremost, our two most favorite. I'm learning to love this one more, but basically it's a glorified blender. Say hi, Hermie. I'm not turning them on. I'm just going to introduce them as what they are and how they work. Always make sure that when you are cleaning or doing anything between jobs, you remove the power from the power outlet of the wall safely. Make sure this is an adult, definitely. So children, please get some help with this. And yeah, safety first, all the way. So this is Hermie. He chops, he blends, he goes up from 0 to 10, and from 8 to 10 is basically chopping. There's a bunch of attachments that can go on Hermie, and then he has basically this really neat little plug there, but don't get anything in there. Don't let anything drip. And if you don't have power, good luck. This is a stopper, so this is kind of it just basically picks around the middle. It doesn't even touch the edges, so it's not like it actually scrapes like I thought it originally would have. So a steamer and a steamer on top with a lid. And I steamed broccoli, but I had too much. It was like spewing out, so it wasn't even working properly. So they say that you should be able to like make your whole meal, but you start with your sauce and then you make all the components separate. By the time you put it all together, awkward meal. There's pieces that we can use. Beauty. Mwah. We love our Vitamix. Our old one. She's kitty. Tool that you can use to like open and unscrew all this and keep it clean. Basically, we just worked her really hard. This is a plunger, and the extra power boost, and then it's 0 to 10, and basically turns on. So it's ideal that you don't be afraid of the power. The more power you have, the more RPMs, the more girth, the more you're gonna be able to like get that momentum for what it needs to do its job at its best potential. This is the hydrator. It has its own settings there. So I've got it on just over the lowest. It's at 105, and I've got it on for another 18 hours. I basically just crank it on, and then once it's there, it's there. And I just watch and monitor. Yeah, look at that one. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. This is our KitchenAid. This is how you grab her. This is our KitchenAid. It has the lever that goes up. Some of them have the twist in and the top comes up. I think that would be more mess. There's a little nub here at the end, and then there's two on the sides that basically go into the two and then the end. So you find your little nub, and then I'm doing this backwards, so there we go. And then your attachments. This one's hot cross buns. We sing hot cross buns, hot cross buns. That's a dough hook that makes your bread. And we sing Cookie Monster Wabba, this Wabba Cookie Monster. And then this one is the caca, the eggs whipped for the cake. We make cakes, we make cookies, quick breads, and we make bread. So the bread needs the dough, and then you blend, and then you whip. And so you do it by the power and the control. You've got 0 to 10. So 0 to 4, I like to say that's kind of speed 1. 4 to 6-ish is speed 2, and then 6 to 10 is speed 3. I always suggest when you're going on high, kick it to number 10 and then back 1. This doesn't have a guard. Some of them now have guards, and a lot of the ones we have in the industry have guards. However, this one does not. So keep careful for your fingers. Only one person use the machine at a time. So this is an ice cream attachment. I have the bowl in the freezer. We have a special bowl that's one of those thick lined with the jelly liquid. So it stays in the freezer. It comes on over when you're ready. I pointed little arrows here, so when I'm in the dark, I can see this. It slides right on, and then I put the bowl right in. I line this up like that, and then line up, and it goes on, and then basically the bowl is a bigger bowl, so it sits perfect. Then you turn it on, and you can pour a stream of your anglaise or whatever your mix is. That's a challenge, getting into that little hole as it's spinning around and going over the surface. Then let it go for your 15 minutes and you've got your ice cream. Soft serve, put it in the freezer, sets up, then have scoopable ice cream when you serve it. It's a super basic microwave. I don't even have a plate in there. We never use it. I basically justified keeping it for chocolate, to melt chocolate, because it's great for when we're doing any type of showpiece or any sort of activity in that sense. So that's why I still have it. This is a toaster oven, new coffee maker, and this is just like a picnic thing. Bamboo baskets. This is These are bamboo baskets, and you stack them and you put them on a pot on water, and they steam for a lot of Asian cooking. You can use it for anything. It's just big steamer baskets. Doesn't have to be Asian style cuisine. Tyler has a knife belt here. This is basically a knife roll, knife belt, has some knives in there. All right, so we have a big barbecue downstairs, bonfire, really cool old school grinders, right? This is for strainers. This is another really big one. So those go on the edge of your table. You know, these are little claws to pick up and clamp up, and we've got a couple big mallets. So this is where the badass been, you know, guys. Smoker stuff. Barbecue downstairs. This stone, you know, barbecue little thing. We've used it as a smoker. Weber, which we love. So, attachments for the KitchenAid. We have two. And it's a stand mixer attachment. Basically, it slices, shreds, and makes pasta. Haven't really used it yet. I've had this stuff since my early 20s, okay? Like, seriously. This one I got for my friend Casey's wedding. It justified me doing ruffles for a cake. This goes on to the front of the KitchenAid, onto the nose, and basically your pasta goes through. Here's a good old-fashioned waffle maker. We use it all the time. It makes the absolute best potato waffles. Take your extra mash, any type of root veg, are delicious. Do it. This one's like, you know, pretty old school, but it's kept up, right? So this plate can come off, but basically this opens up here. And what you do is you take your butane, there's some in this. It's not full, but some in there. And it has a notch. This notch is what your lever needs to match right there. So that little hole goes, slide it in. So you just put it in where the lever notch lines up. That's it. You don't have to move this, just put it in. I'm just trying to show it to you. Push it down, lock it in, and it has to be on off. If you're fighting it and it won't work, it's because it's not on off. And then you close it up and you rock and roll. Click, on, turn down. In control. Hello? Hello, can you go? Hello, do you want to go? Right, so it's all in the control. Use your eyes, get low, pay attention. Off all the way, I turn it all the way, kicks on, I turn it low. Okay, done. When you're done with it, guess what? Take the butane out, and then you can start away. This is an ice wand. Funny enough, we have one of these. So what this is it's a big ice cube. You fill it full of water. You make sure it's very clean and sanitized. You fill it full of water. You put it in the freezer. Big pot of a soup or a stew. You can put it in as an ice wand. When we cool down food, it's super crucial that we rush it as fast as you possibly can through the temperature danger zone. The temperature danger zone is from 4 to 60 degrees Celsius, 40 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. 0 is frozen, right? And minus 20, right? So you've got these margins that you can match. And then at 100 is boiling, and so is 212 Fahrenheit. When you think 350 degrees Fahrenheit in the oven is a common, 180 Celsius, half of it, ish. Anybody like ice cream cones? So cord into a container. We have two of these, a sous vide one. So this goes into the back, and then the temperature when it lights up, when it turns on, it'll read up here. So this is basically a glorified, very small hot tub. So if you like to swim in a hot tub and you regulate the temperature because it's automatically going, welcome to sous vide. Now, sous vide is a very delicate water bath. The ingredients, they really harmonize inside because it's an anaerobic, a non-aerated environment. Aerobic is air, anaerobic is not. Here is a Chirovac machine. This isn't one from our industry. We have big box ones. Ta-da! You can get different plates. This is what we have. These, I've never used this. This is something that your roast would sit in, but this is something that you could put some onions and vegetables underneath, and usually we could use that to sit then the roast on, and then the juices marinate into the vegetables, and then you take that pan jus and then you make your sauce reduction out of all of that after it's roasted. So this is never really... It's brand new, it's sat there. So if anyone wants to use something like this, there you go. That's kind of what you do. If you maybe don't want to have all the vegetable in the bottom for all that added flavor and all that wonderful love. And then everything that crisps up, you put that pan on the stove and then you warm it up and then you deglaze it with some luscious beverage of something like kombucha. or red wine if you know, traditionally want to do that. And then it deglazes and lifts off all that caramelization off the bottom of the pan, which is your flavor. You just take your wooden spoon and just kind of like pick it up, and as long as it's not burnt, you're good to go. Noodles, doodles, whatever you want to call them. We got a whole bunch of them. This one's super meaty and badass, but almost a bit too badass. I've only ever used the one blade, but if I touch that close, even to clean it, it's so painful. Like it's so sharp. That's just plain. And then that one's pretty fierce. So 2 other scales. So these make your noodles, zoodles, all of those spirally daikon or jicama or carrots or zucchini or cucumber. And they have different teeth, and you can have teeth or slices. But what I highlight, and you can only put that much in there, so like your little nub should be big and wide. So you want to choose something that's like fat and girthy, and then it basically just sticks on the little tooth there and in there. And the beauty of this is that your hand pressure's here, so you're pushing and you're quite even. Some of these other ones to the side, you got to push against nothing, or you push, it's really awkward. So putting the pressure down as you already are, it's a win-win. Vertical, everyone. Get the ones that are vertical. Said, boom. I think my mom found this one in a park. There's a couple things that came like that. So I'll just pull up both juicers. This one basically spits out here, and you plunge down there from the items inside there, all the little gadgety bits. And then this one basically plunges into this as it spits from the plunge up top here, and it opens. Just 2. You gotta do it at the same time. So that comes off. I'll show this one a little bit more. This comes off, that comes off. So this is the inside of a basic juicer. This is what basically juices. This is microns. So when we go to talk strainers in there, you're gonna see different sizes of microns in our smallwares. So relate that to this. This is super fine mesh. Be careful. What I really wanna showcase here is there is a lot of debris and a lot of bacteria that can possibly grow. So really keep the stuff super clean. Very, very important. Bada bang, turn her on, whip her up. Food processor, carrots and things like that, or anything chopped down as tubes in there, and basically funnel them in with the little plunger. Or this is another big plunger, and that basically, we give you big pieces. If you're doing like mushrooms and stuff, you just want to like hook them in. You don't want them flying out. That's why you have the tunnel. And then this is the badass little blade. These are some different quality of silicone, and it's more of a thicker one, but serves its purpose for the small stuff I'm doing. This is a hard plastic, but this is actually special to do spheres in ice cubes like these. These are, you can use them for anything, but these are more for ice cubes. Oh, and then we've got big ones, but this is cool because this actually has a metal frame, so it actually holds secure so they won't warp. So that's actually a really nice one. And then these are super traditional, what we have in industry, these red ones that we use too. These are muffin molds, little babies. We have some silpats, some old silpats. Some of them I use for sugar work. They kind of just been, you know, old and recycled through years in the industry. Madeleine cookies. And these are Severian molds. This is a big rubber one. Can't use them in industry, they usually get recycled out. So always use the dull side of a tool when you have silpats. These are metal. They're like little fiber particles they're woven into the actual silicone. So you never want to break and store them crumpled, because that can break holes. You want to either roll them or keep them flat. Small and then big ones. And I basically just usually keep them all stacked up right there, ready to go. All right, we got domes for days, pyramids or whatever, and then we got Madonna nipples. Yeah, or more cones. And they are oven stable and freeze stable. Wash them with soapy sudsy water, give them a good rinse, let them air dry, and then you can stack them up. This is a riser that Tyler uses underneath his cutting board, and that he'll secure around, and that is an elevated riser, so it helps support his back. It has more dehydrator sheets with their little mesh films. I'm saying these little guys are great because they're little popsicles, and then they have the catch drippy bit. So that was really cool. These were the reusable and were fun and cute. Mesh bags are fabulous. I highly recommend the mesh bag. We did a lot of frozen ice for his teething. All right, we're gonna talk sheet pans next. So this is a full sheet pan, okay? This is a half sheet pan. So 2 halves is 1 full. Quarter sheet pan. Sill pan, quarter sheet pan. The full hotel pan, and there's 2. The bottom one is 6 inches deep, and this is a 4-inch deep. This is technically known as deep, and that's an extra large deep. The regular size is actually 2 inches, and we don't have any of those. There's also perforated ones that have holes in them for steaming, and these are metal, and then there's plastic. Okay, so this is a half, right? That one there. This one is a 4-inch regular. The other one would be known as shallow, and that's a 6-inch deep. I know, right? These are thirds. Third, 4-inch. This is regular. The 2-inch would be known as a shallow, and the deep, it'd be a deep 1/3. So that's a deep 1/3 compared to that one. Okay, so you can see the difference. And then those go into your steam tables, and with these little metal stick rods that keep them all grooved together like a Lego system. And sometimes you'll come across the odd that's just a small, but doesn't that just annoy all of us? Yeah, it does. This is for 1/6. So if you were to look at it like this, 2, 4, 6, right? So 1/6, 1 of 6 is a 1/6 regular, 1/6 deep, 1/6 shallow, or perforated. 3, 6, 9. So 3, 6, 9, 1/9. So that's your hotel pan and sheet pan lingo, industry lingo. And there's Combro bins, plastic Combro bins that we brew the kombucha in. There's different stock pots and rondeau pots. This is a beautiful tier for fruit flies. This thing flips and groovy thing. And then you can use that. But what's awesome is this. So we often just have our food here with Tegan and, you know, any snacks, and it keeps all of our fruit flies at bay as best as possible because we do not love fruit flies. There's old school rondeau pot. You can see it's got some aged history. All of these with metal handles are oven safe. Most of our pans are all clad. Tyler's love for all clad. So we've got some pots here. This is nice because they're double handled. And then it opens up with a steamer, and they all have lids. We just keep our lids down over here. And then I have all the cutting boards there. Really, really nice for sauces and just how it curves up the heat around the sides. Nice little stock pot here. And then we have a roasting pan. This one's a big oval guy. And then we go into pans. This has a steamer, but look at that. That's a nice one with a flat edge base. Sometimes you're doing a big stir fry or you're doing some kind of big whatever and you need it to be big. Cast iron you've got to keep nice and oiled and nicely seasoned. And that with smoke, we can rub salt and rub oil and then smoke them on low temperature and let them cure in the oven. You do that to help create a nice seal so then they can be non-stick. That's a pretty nice one. That's a good firm handle. 2 of those, and then here, haha, I love this one. I've had this one for years. Look at that. I love it. This is basically our open kitchen concept. It's these big metal racks that you can get from Costco. Pie pans, we do use parchment as well with these. They are aluminum, more than just for pies. We actually just use them like baking in the oven, certain small items. So an assortment of bowls, lots of bowls. We've got 2 big stacks and small. And then these are ones that we actually tried candles for floating, but there was too much wastage of the wax. So I actually found that the pastry silicone molds turn out to be the domes are the best ultimate for our candles. Canning and jarring, or you need a big pot and that goes in the canning and jarring process. And I have another one, a smaller one, and this one can flip both backwards and forwards. We have small, medium, large stacked up in the pantry. This is really wonderful to use for inside your jar. Basically, when you're shoving and submerging all your items, you don't want to have it around the outer lip. This is also another good type of funnel. You just have a butter up. So wonderful. This little gadget and these guys. So what they are they're air lock. You put in whatever product, silicone right on that ring. Super easy. You give it a couple of pumps, boom, done. Calendar, and then you just go to unlock. So imagine all that in your fridge, right? You don't even have to worry about any spoilage or whatever you're fermenting. You just rock and roll, put them underneath. Like, I want to live with those lids. Want to ferment, we use these jar weights. And again, I'd like to get more of these. Different sizes. Just do know that you are killing all bacteria, all beneficial life, as well as potentially negative life. So it does last forever in that sense. You know, when you have a canned item, it shouldn't have the popping sound when it's sealed well. It should have a very tight seal. So when you unravel and open it, you can take that ring, you take it off, it's on like that, it's super sealed, it's been pasteurized, you've got carrots in there. You take the edge of this and you go flip like that. You just lip it and it'll pop right off. Boom, every time. Lids, lids, lids. These are great tools and they are really beneficial. These are good for the silicone. You don't want the water to drip. Be careful when you're inside a pot and you lift up and tong water runs down. It can hurt and burn you. This is to seal a tighten, the ring around when it's cooled down and set up. You do an extra firm lock with that. But this is the cat's meow. You got the handle here and this guy basically up and down, in and out, all around. So you can see the silicone is the way to go. This is a splatter guard, but I often use it when I'm outside on the deck cooling down food. So you want to move through that temperature danger zone fast, always. And so by doing so, you can let the heat evaporate, but no bugs get in there and no one gets to fly in and taste what you're doing and leave anything behind. This is a ricer. This is basically a very large garlic press. Okay, so you just put it through and press. Roasted potatoes, usually put in the filling, the inner of the potato, and we mash through it. It gives it a nice, fine, fluffy rice potato. And then we make gnocchi out of that. Fine mesh strainers, really nice ones. Lots of small ones. So the rule is to keep these nice and beautiful. Always wash things fresh. If you wash fresh, then it shouldn't give you some problems. This guy is one of our favorites, and look how big she is. Whoa! Thicker mesh strainer, super meaty, great in buckets and bins. Now, be careful with anything hot. If it's too hot for the bucket, it can actually burst holes through. This is a really, really nice mesh strainer too. And then that's just an extra protection for the wired mesh. So it's sometimes annoying when you have that, but this one's actually not bad. These other ones, like this one, depending on what product you're doing, I would stay away from this. But sometimes you need that extra support. It won't push through and have the problem because now it's right there where it's all frayed. So that's not good for us because then that starts to get into your food. So instantly when you start to see that, sorry buddy, you're on the way out. Safety first. We have a paddle here, rulers. This is a very meaty, this is really, really nice for ginger and things that are frozen. And it's badass, it can hurt. So I often recommend always use gloves. And it's at least for that one hand, because if anything, if it nicks you, it's gonna nick the glove first. These are microplanes for our zest, for citrus zest mandolins. So got a whole bunch of different wired racks here. We just picked up these, and that's to grind down your herbs and spices manually. This is a butter dish. Picked up some small racks. They're really great for when you're plating. And I've got another torch here. That's a torch. And the pastry roll, we use that a lot. And I have two graters. This one's a box grater, and this does really nice ribbons. There are two different immersion blenders sit. And coffee grinder or spice grinder. Just extra for these. Those are the guards and the blades for those. These are nutmegs. I wanted to save and show these. So I hope you can see through the light, but there's a lot of impurities and debris in the actual seam. So I don't recommend, and they kind of start to smell funky. So I don't really recommend it. This one's a new one. But again, I'm gonna go use it a couple times and it'll be done. Your corn in the cob. Yum, 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 yum. Corn on the cob. Sprouting lids. And we go with mason jar tops. We are sprouting wheatgrass and radish. coming to life. Sort of, grow inside. Assorted scoops. Now there's different types of scoops. I don't have a lot of scoops, but we have a few. And then they have their grading system. That's a good old-fashioned scoop. And then we have just like quail spoons. Scrapers. These are awesome generally to temper chocolate and to do chocolate garnishes. Chocolate, or you're handling your chocolate. But this is also for if you were to have like spread out chocolate, you can do little cigarettes, little tubes of chocolate. The difference of a comb like this and a comb like this is that basically cut off the ends with an X-Acto knife, and then it can draw space between on your acetate sheet, and you draw chocolate down the strip and then curl, and you can do curls. So the more fine between, but the depth is quite runny, so once it cuts through, it kind of pools back together. So when you trim those away, those don't need to be trimmed, then you get more space. So you go from like really pointy. I hope that makes sense. This is for like buttercream, old school metal. You dip it in hot water and then you can glide on the side of cakes, chocolate ganache. This is perfect for bowls and the curvy, firm. We have lots of different textures, but this has gotten a lot of work out. Curved around folding mousses and triangle ones. These ones have different grades. For the most part, they're all the same. Otherwise, you know, some are homemade. Make it homemade out of, I don't really use this, but there's another one, bench scraper that I've had since my culinary apprenticeship. Sometimes just don't die. It's been with me forever. These are all the plain ones. Yeah, I got a few brushes. Yeah, they've added up through the years too, but I mean, between Tyler and I, and honestly, you buy them when you're buying a few paring knives, you're buying piping tips, you're buying certain stuff that you buy and have again, and you stash them away, and then you hoard onto them, and then, you know, you lose some and you gain some, and that happens, and like, yeah. Anyway, so brushes, keep them clean. They all smell fine. Yeah, honestly, like, you know, just dry bristle brushes are the best way to keep these clean. Soapy hot water, rinsing water. I give a good squeeze, and then we go to the side of the table, and that will just, yeah. Paring knives, I got quite a few paring knives. Those are the ones that we like definitely over this style. These long sugar thermometers that kind of, you need the certain size pots. If any of the sugar sticks around any of the, you know, the actual casing or leftover impurities. So it could drive potential possibilities for crystallization to, you know, form when you're actually trying to make a non-crystalline, like a caramel type of product. So that can be really annoying. The glass one, that's pretty clear and basic. So this is a infrared type of automatic laser thermometer. This is very, very accurate, this probe. This one has a couple attachments, and it goes on like that, like that. And this one I use all the time. This is my go-to, believe it or not, and I love it because it's metal. It can go all the way into the oven. It can go all the way into the pot of the stove, and I can just put it in and not worry about it. And I always get a bucket of water on the side, so when it's out of, when it's done its time, I take it out of the item and I put the probe stick always instantly right into the water. And then it can, when I get back to it to clean it, it's pretty much clean. I just have to rinse it off and sanitize it, and on I go. One is like your traditional turkey one, which we never use. Like, it goes into the oven and it tells you your meats. So it's in here. We got it though. And this one usually we have on our jacket from digital over manual all the way. Dry measures. You sift, you scoop a flour, you take another flat or a spatula, you level off, and then that is a pure accurate scoop of a dry ingredient. And then you would press in for brown sugar, makes like a sand castle. That's a true read when that's leveled off. It's a liquid measure. Those are dry. And these are small measures. And liquid and dry use interchangeably when they're so small. And oil to water to milk, whatever type of milk, cream, coconut cream. So they all have different weights being a liquid, so they're super deceiving. Double check yourself more accurately. And when you're measuring from a scoop, you can just kind of like trickle in the last little bit to get your final accurate reading. Most of them go to the 1 gram. You can then buy a micro scale and use a micro scale that is for your smaller, if you're doing anything more meticulous and you need that. So that will do the micro. And then you have, this one goes up to 10 kilograms, which is super cool. And actually, this is an OXO one. It has the, it has a wire. So the wire separates. So basically, if I have a really large pot dumping in, right, that much weight, 6 kilograms of flour to actually make some production, I can do that. And that's what we want. So wonderful. And now I'm not scooping 200 of these. You know, the pots weigh so much that they can wipe out your scale amount if it's a 2 kilogram scale. Stick to metal, and life is gonna just be wonderful once you have a scale and you get into the metric world. These are bus bins. These basically are just to, like, you know, gather dishes in restaurants, but basically we use them in the kitchen for a lot of different things. Okay, we got a whole bunch of rings. If you just put them in the oven, they'll dry out really well. Round ones, those ones, because they're just not linked because they're straight up. Loop. So different for different purposes. The bases, I got, you know, a handful of these little babes. That's so cute. I've got a small handful of, these are called French rings. These are 3-inch French rings, and we use those for tarts. Cornucopia molds, a donut cutter, so you just kind of dust it, dry it, cut, and it will cut the ring. Stamp press for tarts. Then terrain molds. Stainless steel, very heavy stainless steel. That's sort of a thing for saving wood dowels. This is a silicone. I even have ones I haven't opened. This one has just, and I look forward to using that more often. I have 2 of these. This one doesn't roll and separate, so the whole thing you just kind of have to roll around, and super gritty. I can't wait to use that. This was probably used a lot for marzipan back in the day. This is a cheaper version, not very good, so wet to a point and then curves down. So ideally you want to have a curve here and here, and then from this point to this point you want flat. So mine is not, and that's what's really annoying because it rivets into all pastry doughs unevenly. So this is one of those rolling out mats. You can put it in a diaper, so the diaper just kind of helped it. So, all right, so we're gonna go from the top down. So up here we've got saran wrap, we have foil, and we have parchment. This is a parchment roll. The parchment comes in all different sizes. You definitely want reusable, strong if you can. I got little parchment piping cones. And this is sort of my ship mix bin. I'll go through that. This one is more for your cheese and all of the cheese items. Parisian scoops are known as melon ballers, different ones, and they do different garnishing. This is a apple core. This is a zester called a channeler. So this goes down the side of like a zucchini or a carrot or a lemon, and you just, so it kind of just like a cheaper version here compared to that other one. Squeeze bottles. There's a whole bunch of different types of serving utensils. We go into a cutter, pizza cutter, fluted cutter, and it's my docker. Perfect for docking dough. It's called a bicycle. It's an accordion that opens up. And lots of spatulas in here. These are metal spatulas. This is a straight up metal spatula. Okay. This one is like your spreader, your mayo for your sandwiches. We use those a lot. This is pretty medium. Yeah, spatulas. Offset spatulas. This one's more pointy. Offset meaning it's offset, so your fingers can kind of go this way. Some of them are super soft. Some of them are more firmer and more straight and flexible. So, you know, some are just more flimsy, like this one's super flimsy. It's the paring knife bin. So be careful putting your paring knives into the oven. This was on the side of a pan. I think it was on a pie pan. They're all sharp. I'm not so much a fan of these. They're harder on my hands. Renox style ones. And then these we pick up through the suppliers. Good old fashioned knives. So that is the paring knife bin. It's an assortment of a whole bunch of random, really nice spoons. I kind of have a thing for spoons. They all just serve their purpose. They all just like, that's lean and long and slender, and that's deep and delicious. And some will quenelle differently. And I mean, like, look at that. They're just all pretty. So anyway, I got a thing for spoons. So these are some of our brewing jars that I've just basically used in organization. So this is tongs, our tong bin, a whole bunch of tongs around the other side as well. Spoons, spatulas, and rubber spatulas and metal spatulas all together in here. Again, offset, super large one on a grill. You know, you buy the stuff and then you want to use them. One day you're gonna get there. This is flimsy for fish. Boards. Last but not least, we have platters. This is obviously a cone holder. We've got this babe here. Look at her. Oh my god. Bowls, platter, tier, salt, wood bowls, hot chocolate, double stacked. Excuse me. Platters, some really nice kind of flat boaty ones. This tier that spins. Actually, I've done a lot of cakes on that in my apartments. Funny enough, when you don't have a lot of room. Sushi. This is a tagine. We do a lot of reheat in here. Put a lot of stuff in here, and then we close it up and put it in the oven, and it steams in so nice. And so we're going into jelly mold production now, and we're just going to do a couple rounds of jellies. Oh, this is perfect to share to finish up. This is the tool that we bought for the Vitamix. The Vitamix is, so this opens and unscrews. This is to wrap the waffle cones. That egg slicer. I've been doing avocados with Tegan with that too, which is so fun. He loves it. Cherries, pasta, frother. That's how you want to have your coffee. Can opener, bottle opener, tweezers, lime, lemon, juicer, shucker for oysters. Oh, badass. Garnish. We don't use this. This thing sits. This is definitely a home tool that a lot of people use at home. It's a garlic press. All right, we have a bottle opener. We have spigot pourers. I have and that for the little jellies. And truffle shaver. You need truffles for a shaver. This is for that that chocolate heart. This is called a lamb. This is a blade. Bone pinning tweezers. Oh, we got 3. So they're not sharp, and so they're not going to cut, and you can pull the bones out of your salmon. More tweezers. More of a little syringe dabber, and that is another challenger. So let's just do a final recap. So everything is about a grid. We went over safety and sanitation. Basically, you want to secure your cutting board, have a sharp knife, keep your fingers back, and rotate your food, and slow and steady wins the race. Efficiency will grow, and you'll start to dance more fluidly with people in the kitchen if everyone gets in lingo and tempo. With dry towels, with hot mats, or if you have any oven mitts, use that for anything hot coming out of the oven, or make sure there's no holes in your mitts or in your mats, your oven mitts. So safety first. When you're walking with a knife, make sure, no matter what type of knife it is, Walk with your knife down to the side of you, and usually you can have a hand up or you can call it knife. If you have a hot pan or if you're juggling, if you have a cutting board with a knife, you can put your knife on your cutting board and you can walk with that. And if you're going to the oven and you have a tray, I think of it like a forklift or an elevator. You really want to bring yourself up and in, but go slow and breathe or hold your breath for a second. That sometimes works too when we're dealing with the cakes. If there's spills, clean them up right away. So sharp knives are safer than dull knives. Secure your cutting board, secure your mat, take a mat, some sticky mat, or wring out a towel, lay it down, secure your board, and then you can cut and you can carry on with whatever production that you're doing. Choices, choices, choices. So kitchen safety, don't run, walk, clean up your spills. Mise en place, everything in place. Our Chefs by Design studio, our home. Cheers.